Not for this meeting, thank you.
City Administrator Report, Jeff Petman.
I'm going to hold my comments for the next meeting. Just as a reminder with the fan on, if everybody make sure they speak into their microphone. I was already reminded twice before the meeting that I was too far away from it, so that would be appreciated.
Okay, City Reports, EMA Director Tony Eberly.
So I have a couple of things. So last month, we hosted a presentation from the, one of the chairs of the Illinois Search and Rescue Team to talk about creating a search and rescue program. That's ongoing, something we're investigating, whether we partner with a local area, but we want to build skills and look at potentially getting a search and rescue within EMA and Sandwich. Also last month, we had a joint training with Burlington Northern and the Army Volunteer Reserves in the Sandwich Fire District around hazardous material safety training. On June 30th, I met with Chief Haggerty, starting to set some processes in motion to have EMA help support events such as structure fires and motor vehicle accidents for the fire department. That's ongoing. As that materializes, I'll come back and share information with everyone about what we're doing and how we're doing it. On Friday the 4th, we assisted the Village of Kirkland with their 4th of July parade. On the 5th, we supported Freedom Days, the parade, as well as the fireworks. Speaking of the parade, did you catch the new EMA squad? So wanted to thank Chief Sunny and the city for being able to hand down one of the squads to replace our very aging and very defunct mobile command unit. So that was very much appreciated. And I wanted to thank the EMA team for the work that they were doing of ownership over the 4th of July holiday for some of the parades and events that we had going. That's all that I had.
Okay, thank you, Tony. That's a great report. I appreciate all the work for your EMA team. Engineering, Kurt Detman.
All right, Main Street improvements, Fisher Excavating, continue works on Main Street. Sanitary sewer work is essentially complete. We just going through and just making sure everything is all hooked up with all the services. Water main work starting this week. Fairwinds Phase 4 construction continues. I did send the SWIP report over to Alderman Arnett so he can have that. It was the submitted document that was sent into the IEPA for their permit. And that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
Okay, questions for Tony or for Kurt?
Yes, for Kurt. Going to be the same question and/or complaint that I had for Latham Street with signage. It is as bad, if not worse, than what Latham Street was. I had said something about coming out of the Arts parking lot onto Main Street there. I said it when you guys all had a meeting. I was told it was passed on. At least a week had gone by, and constantly, still no sign, people turning left. They're just not paying attention. People are turning left. A lot of older people, but obviously from the grocery store, there's lots of traffic, and people get up to the intersection, they always turn left. When they see the orange barrels, even though it's blocking their lane of southbound traffic, it doesn't matter, they're gonna turn left. There is a detour sign that was placed there now, orange detour sign pointing north. I still think a one-way sign would probably be better than the detour, my opinion. And I also think what we ended up doing on Latham Street, although it took a good month and 2 or 3 meetings complaining about it, we put a sign at the very beginning of the construction too, basically announcing that it's one-way, northbound only, because again, even though the whole southbound lane is blocked with cones, people don't realize it. They need a sign. So if we could get something, that would be great.
All right, we'll look into it.
I was working
Appreciate
on
it.
today. Okay, anyone else? Okay, council reports, Alderman Arnett.
I'd like to start with, and it's going to go off of the SWEP report that Kurt sent me. I've received several phone calls regarding construction traffic in Fairwinds. And we did talk at previous meetings before we did the annexation agreement. There is a designated construction in and out. That's the reason that Oak Bend is going to be milled and resurfaced. So the construction is going all over the place, not just where it is designed to go. It is clearly spelled out in the SWEP plan that that is the construction entrance. There is no other construction entrance spelled out there. So the residents are telling me that they're being told that there is no defined construction entrance, but there is, 100%. So if we could start looking out for that, because we have not planned on resurfacing other roads due to construction traffic, if we could start looking out for what we already planned. It helps out Fairwinds, it helps out City of Sandwich because it affects our storms, and it affects out a lot of other things. Also, I'd like to talk, I know this is kicking a dead horse with the EV program, but at last city council, we had a discussion that council passed something, and we were not allowed to back out of it, or it would cost us money. If we are doing the curbside EV make-ready pilot program, if that's what we are doing, it does state in there, the customer may elect to terminate its participation in the program by delivering written notice to ComEd before the end of the review period. If the customer has not approved the project's plan by the end of the review period, ComEd reserves the right to cancel the program. That's not what we were told.
We're not done with the review period. The location still to come back to council.
Excuse me, I cannot hear this meeting. Can someone do something with the fan? Because I can't sit here and listen to a meeting when I hear multiple meetings. Thank you. Is that all right? Appreciate it.
It's always hot up here, Adam.
I guess the first thing was, that isn't exactly what I said. I said we'd have to review the agreement to see if we could get out of it. That was part of it. And there's a specific process to do that.
I know, it spells it out right here.
Right, no, but to put on the agenda a motion to reconsider and things like that. So that was why we couldn't take that action at that meeting.
Right, all I'm saying is I'd like city council to be given all the information instead of some of the information. We're being asked to make votes on things that we're giving pieces and parcels to. We need to have all the information given to us when we're asked to say, I'm gonna vote on this, I'm gonna vote on that.
Well,
If we
that
don't-
whole agreement was provided to everyone, right?
No,
Okay, so which agreement is this? Like, this
this
is
is the EV
the,
Make-Ready program.
the
I mean,
one
there's
that we
tons of them out there.
approved
There's
and
the-
authorized the mayor to sign?
There's tons of them out there. There's the municipal.
No, I
mayor's
get, I know, I'm
there's-
asking the one that you are referencing. That was, I thought that was in the council packet the day that it was voted on.
I don't think it was, but I can go back and look.
We approved the application to see where this was gonna go, not the agreement. That's what I remember we voted on, just for the application.
And then there was a second piece of that, and that is that the location came back to review and approve, and then it would move forward with notification to ComEd.
And that part has not happened. The approval of the location has not happened.
So essentially, we aren't locked into this program at all at this point.
The,
No.
No,
that's-
because we haven't completed all this.
we haven't gone through, no, it's not officially,
'Cause
but we
that's-
did,
The way I think the majority of us left last council believing we are 100% locked into this. At least that's the way I left.
So the first step was the notification of the intent to participate, and the second part of that was approving the location. So if you didn't approve the location, then we wouldn't have the rest of the agreement with ComEd.
because it was very clear that you didn't want to move forward until you approved of the location.
Correct.
And I also brought up, I wanted to see what the income, projected income, what was gonna be generated.
I think that was brought up at the last meeting, yes.
That was brought up, but we seen nothing, no report from ComEd.
That, I don't have any specific information on that, but when it was approved, that wasn't part of what was holding it up specifically.
Okay, and in given council, this will come up later because I've already found something else that we're lacking in information on. it'll come up later, is anything we have that we have to vote on, the only thing I ask for is give us every ounce of information you possibly can. It's our fault if we don't read it. That's shame on us.
Yeah, I saw a PDF. I thought everybody got a
Yeah,
PDF of
I-
the program in their packet.
I thought that everyone had that. I'd have to look back at the packet.
So,
And then my understanding now is the location's been reviewed, it's been discussed with ComEd and its to our engineer to see if it's feasible, and that just happened, I think, today. Is that right, Don? You want to come up? I looked at, I think, 4 locations with Don 2 or 3 weeks ago, right after we voted.
Yeah, as I reported last meeting, the primary spot that everybody seemed to agree with last meeting was over here on Pearl Street, west side of the street, first 2 spots south of the alley, transformer right there. They don't cut up our streets. They'll give us all sorts of public signage from Route 34, and they've been out there doing the final. They sent a very preliminary drawing. I passed it on to Kurt. We'll be getting some more information. We'll be getting the final information hopefully in the next week or 2.
So that's where we're at. There was no rush to get this completely done. It was a phased process, and we're on the second part of it.
okay, so since ComEd looked at that, are they taking it as we are saying that's a fine spot?
I think that's the best spot of everything we looked at.
But is ComEd taking it as the city is saying that
We're
is?
getting a street repair over here. We're getting closer to Route 34. I think it's better. You know, when I first saw it, I thought, maybe not, but the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm talking to them about it, I think it's the ideal spot. It also prevents, that's never blocked off from any event, so they would never be blocked off when we do the car show and taste and all of that.
So
Right,
my
but I don't wanna
recollection is that council still had to come back and approve the location before anything was finalized.
Seemed to me everybody was good last week, that's why I told them to focus on.
You should still get the information of the benefit for that location, what the city will come out ahead or not on that, why that location was picked. I think today I saw the location identified, but that's all I know about it myself. So it's not a done process, that's just the next step in it. So it comes back to you, which I would hope would be the next meeting. I think that's enough review time.
Right, I'm just bringing it up, I don't recall us all voting on a location ever.
No, we did not
I
vote
said
on a
you seemed,
location.
you seemed like that was a good idea. So that's what the one we gave them to focus on.
Now, there's a little bit that you probably didn't read in IML, and some of you are new, so I don't fault you for that, but all of us get IML information. I believe it's January 1st, 2026, all residential homes have to have a EV unit put in them, regardless of community or location. So we should probably think about that too, if we're gonna have to start putting that in every dwelling that we have in the community. That might not be a bad thing to have placed into our downtown. So that is a state requirement. Jeff, what was the, do you remember what the Public Act was?
It's Public Act 1030053. Applies to newly constructed single-family homes and multifamily residential buildings with dedicated parking. It requires installation of EV-capable parking spaces.
So just think about that, right? That's the direction the state again is taking us, so just put that out there. All right, what else you got, Adam? Anything else? So this will come back.
No,
I haven't
but-
seen all the details myself, so I'm not approving of the location yet. I
No,
am-
before this thing 100% goes full steam ahead, I would like just to have every ounce of information. I want to know the costs that we already know the costs we possibly have to spend. I don't think we truly know all the costs. I don't think we have any idea of what the income could be to offset those costs. And I don't want the City of Sandwich residents to have to pay for something that they shouldn't have to pay for. So I'd like to know that bare minimum, the city's gonna be able to cover it. Because taking a deficit and the residents paying for something that they aren't using is something I will vote no on.
So review, final proposal back to council. Also include the reasons why other locations were not selected.
I'll keep trying to dig down and get them to answer me on purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, and Mayor, just one other thing that we talked about last meeting too was to ensure that ADA compliance is met with the charging stations and the sidewalks and the approaches and so forth. So that was something that needed to be evaluated as well, and Kurt agreed with that.
One of the 2 spots have to
You
Yeah,
got
make
it,
sure
right?
that, Don, is that microphone on?
Yeah, turn on the mic there, please.
In the program, one of the two spots has to be handicapped. So that's part of the design and changing the curb out and all of
Okay,
that.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Don?
No.
Okay, Adam, you got more?
No, the only other question I had, because I know we talked in length about it at the last meeting, was the craft show downtown. And I just wanted to see where that was left, because I know it's up in the air over a foundation taking it over or the city taking it over, and I see nothing in this council's packet really over it.
I got an email from Alderwoman Erickson. I said, these are the items I had questions about. I asked her to respond. I didn't get a response. So as far as I know, it's very difficult for the city to enter into an agreement or some understanding with an entity that is not established. I don't know how we'd enter an agreement, understand who represents what organization and what we're bound to. So until I see something that shows that the foundation's established, I don't know how we govern it. I mean, it's nice to put stuff out on Facebook and encourage a lot of these people to show up, but if we don't have a legal entity to which we can know who represented because of the way it's established, I don't know how we can go forward. Everything else we have a document, we have an agreement, we vote on it. I think it needs to come to council. I don't think it's ready yet. I don't think it's clear what the entity is, that it has a legal standing and who is actually
I
represented.
asked it to come to council, and you took it off my agenda again.
Did you answer my email?
Did you take it off the agenda?
Well, what am I gonna put on the agenda? An agreement with something that doesn't
We asked
exist?
for somebody to speak on our behalf, and you took that off too. Who has all the stuff?
The bottom line is, does it have a legal
Yes,
establishment?
everything is legal.
Where
Everything
is it? I asked you for it. Why
Fulton
couldn't you have
Auto.
sent it to me? I sent you the response on Wednesday, not
Fulton
Monday.
Auto.
You didn't even respond to me at all. Like, it's forthcoming, it's in the works, here's the status like I asked you to.
I asked to put it on the agenda.
For what purpose, though?
To get it passed, we don't have to keep doing this, Todd. This is
To get it,
ridiculous.
to get what passed if you don't have a legal established entity? I mean, that's how it works, right? We do business with things that are legally established.
And it's legally established. Everything is done.
So show me so we can move forward. I mean, I think council at least deserves to know its status. Why would they enter into an agreement with something that doesn't,
Well,
does
if
or
we could-
doesn't
I could have
exist?
the spokesperson come up, we would have it done in 2 minutes. If you would allow that.
Public comment,
Why can't it be under mine?
it could be on yours, we're not there yet.
It was supposed to be. It was taken off.
Because we didn't have anything to
You just
discuss.
say, now I can do it.
I
and you take it
asked
off.
you
But-
to answer if those items were met.
All right, let's
You
keep
didn't
going.
even answer me, so don't get mad if you didn't
I'm
do
not-
what you were
I'm
asked
not
to do.
getting mad. I did do what I was asked.
Carson, you're gonna be in 3 more people and just bring it up then under you and get it all out in the open.
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty simple. Either it's a legal established entity or it is not.
It is.
So show me.
Let's just keep going, get to me, and we'll get it done.
Alderman Chun.
Yes, Streets Department will be starting spray patching the first week of August. I gave all the aldermen a list of where they're gonna be working at, so that way you know if they're in your ward or not. That's all I got.
Could you send that list to me too?
Yeah, I'll get you one.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Alderman Danko.
I wanted to ask Jeff here regarding how's it going on the interview process for water superintendent?
I have a candidate, I'm checking references at this point.
That's where we're at right now?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. Alderwoman Erickson.
I'd like to call up Colton Otto to speak on the foundation's behalf.
Okay.
All right, just to clarify a couple things here on that one. If I can borrow your city administrator's computer real quick to just go to iosos.gov and then type in Betty Erickson Carey Foundation, you will see that it is a nonprofit and also that it is active, along with the EIN has been filed. We currently, if you'd like to see them, I do need to.
Is it filed or do you have it? Because it takes like 3 months to get that.
Well, here's the approval, July 11th, for your Articles of Incorporation for the 102.10.
Okay, that
Here's-
was on my list, but it wasn't answered.
Here's the approval for the EIN, July 11th approved.
Okay.
The agendas and our first meeting are all up on the website at the Betty Erickson Carey Foundation.com. You can see the agenda, the minutes, and also the bylaws that were approved. The reason why she did not enter into a conversation with you on some of those is some of the board members felt that it might be a conflict of interest, considering the fact that she is the president of the foundation and also on the city administration board portion of it. So we wanted to clarify that and just make sure. That's the reason why she didn't answer you in those specific emails. Like I said, the board felt that so. We have our closure application.
Can I ask you a
insurance-
question? Though?
Yes, sir.
Is really responding to me, would really that be a conflict of interest? Because I don't think it is.
Well, if you don't feel it is, that's great on that one, but the board itself figured it was because she's advocating on the behalf for city funds on this one if we're entering into an agreement of us in a split share for 10.
We'll disagree with that because all it was a simple, yes, these things are established, or they're not.
Right, but the final portion of it is us entering into agreement maybe for a split share portion of the 10. And if that is, that would be a conflict of interest that she generated that resulted in city funds directly to the nonprofit that she chairs.
Well,
So-
that's what I was concerned about. Should
Yes.
any citizen?
Right, and that portion of it, we clarified with the bylaws, and that's why she did not answer that email.
Okay, but again, the email would not have been a conflict of interest.
The email wouldn't, but the outcome of the email would. That's the
Well, those are
problem.
two different things.
They are two different things that
You would
run
have
in
told me these
comparison.
things were established and I could review them, they could have been prepared for council and on the agenda.
Well, I can agree with you to disagree on this point. Is there anything else that you'd like clarification on, sir?
Insurance?
Insurance, we have the quote. We wanted to make sure that the city council was going to go ahead because we figured it would be a useful waste of our funds if we went ahead and got the insurance and did not have, the facility to do it. And also, we got a quote for the tent as well. I understand that the city itself had about an $8,000 quote. We got it to $4,200.
Well, the city has about 4 quotes.
They have 4 quotes. I know the last one they were mentioning was 8. So if it was, we went ahead and cut 3,800 off there.
First
If-
one was.
The first one, what's your final one, sir?
I don't know, I'm not in charge of that.
Okay, who would be?
Angie, our staff.
Perfect.
I know that she's received a quote from Ms. Kohler, which I think was reasonable. We just need to identify what the agreement will look like.
Okay, that's fine on that one.
Because in addition to that, it's the tent, it's the side panels, it's the
Yep, I got those.
lighting, and it's the setup, so. we were
Perfect,
gonna
I have that.
We're gonna verify that, and if the dates are still valid, and I think we can probably move forward with the agreement, but it would be the city entering into the agreement, and then you would be, or whatever's approved, reimbursing the city as we had in the past.
Perfect. Can we clarify that so that way we don't have to continue on through that? I know it may be a discussion portion, it may be a, yes, it's good. Is there a way to do that
We'll
tonight?
draft an agreement.
Perfect. All right. Do you want this quote just in case?
I think I already have
You-
it, but I.
You have
give
this
it to
one, sir?
me. Yeah, I do.
And you also went down on that, that's the side panels, lighting and everything
Yeah, I
else.
think we had one from the Kelb, Elburn,
Okay.
someplace else, and then you had one from Waukegan, I think. Does that sound right?
Something like that. It's elite tents.
Okay. Well, we also looked at buying one, so we had, I think, 4 quotes for buying a tent.
Now, the only thing is, I don't know what your guys' one on that one is, but that one's an extension of the previous ones that were used. It was 40 by 60, I believe, were the previous ones. That's an 80 by 40.
Yeah, so in that cement over there are already set spaces to drive the rods in, so we don't ruin the cement, so.
Perfect. Okay,
We'll
then
take a
we
look
can
at
go
it.
back to that one, which is the other one that got recited. So I have another one for you as well, sir.
Okay, perfect.
Anything else?
I have to look at my list, but I think that's.
Did we
good
actually look
start.
that up to verify so that way everybody
Yeah.
else could see it as well? Perfect.
Right. Simple reply would have got us a lot farther.
Well, like I said, at that portion there, the board felt that it was this. Now that they're a full entity, we have, our obligations as much as you do yourself, sir.
And you said your bylaws are on your website?
They are on our website, listed on the top there. Our officers have not been added to the website because this has been slowly built out, but our meeting agendas and everything else like that, and our officers will have their own bios through those portions.
Has any other council member seen this or reviewed it?
No, but it looks good, very thorough. Thanks, Colton.
Yeah, not a problem.
So now you know where to look.
Perfect. And like I said, Betty Erickson Carey Foundation.com. You can look at anything else you'd like to see.
So the road closure won't occur through the foundation or any other group, just like it wouldn't have through the Fox Valley Community Center. It would have been by the city closing it, because it starts with a city event, so we
Okay.
would have closed our own street. That won't happen until August or September typically.
Okay, so you are saying if we do enter in an agreement, we can't get this, we don't actually have to do the closure permit?
Oh, the city would do that.
The city
Because
will do that.
We start the event, so we would be the ones to close our own street.
Perfect.
we
I'm
leave-
just making sure so we don't get down the road.
Nope.
It is clear that we won't. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Carson, anything else?
No, thank you.
Alderwoman Inman?
Nothing tonight.
Okay, Alderman Ketchum?
Nothing right now.
Alderman Kreinbrink?
Nothing, sir.
Alderman Robinson?
Nothing right now, thank you.
Okay, under old business, we had a request from a potential buyer and a potential seller asking the City of Sandwich if we would amend Chapter 6 of the Alcohol Beverage Section 6-52 of the Municipal Code. Basically, it helps further clarify that an individual in the City of Sandwich can own more than one liquor license as long as there's one liquor license for each location. I'll ask our attorney to kind of clarify the way the ordinance will be amended.
If everyone recalls, before, it was kind of vague as to whether or not it applied to location or individuals. I think that while we might not have specifically stated it, we were all on the same page with the way we interpreted it, that it was just not more than one location for a license. I think that the purchasers were a little confused, so just to make it easier, we've made the ordinance very clear that it's just you can't have more than one license, or you can't have a license at more than one location. And we took out the provision that says that one person can't have 2 licenses.
Okay, Mr. Rudd, you're the petitioner. You want to come up and say anything on behalf of that request of changing the ordinance? Since you're a taxpayer and a citizen, you might as well address the council on this issue since you're the one that's requested it.
The issue was the verbiage. I think I read it now, then I think it would be just fine, the
Good.
way it reads.
Wanted to make sure you agreed with that since you asked to have it amended. Okay?
All right.
All right, questions from council?
When it comes up next, the meeting immediately following this one, do you have any interest in asking us to waive first reading?
I would ask you to waive the first reading and pass it.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. Anyone else from council? It'll appear on the next meeting for that request. Okay, I did have some changes to the travel expenses. Those were submitted to our city administrator, Jeff Penman, about some changes to the personnel policy. Jeff, do you have those meals in front of you? I think it went from 45 to 62, which is the daily rate. However, it does have some requirements per meal.
Right, and there was some discussion in the finance committee meeting as well. I had thrown a few things in there to try and clarify as to when an individual would qualify for a meeting or for a meal or not qualify for a meal. It sounded like the predominant thoughts were at that point in time that if someone was staying overnight, they would qualify for breakfast or dinner. Otherwise, lunch would be, I forget how we said that. And no, I don't have that in front of me. I apologize. We ran out of paper while I was trying to copy, so.
Fred, what's the term when they leave at a different time of the day? Do you remember what that's called with per diem? There's a term.
I don't have that memorized, but in the finance committee meeting, like Alderman Robinson brought up a good point that if somebody was to leave at 6:30 to get to an event at 7:30, that would, the way that it's currently written, they would basically be able to have that breakfast provision. My suggestion is like if somebody had to leave 2 or 3 hours prior to their normal start time to go to a class and stay 2 or 3 hours past possibly, you know, if you were flying in from a different location and you ended up landing at 6 p.m. and then you get your bag and you drive back home, it could be 9 o'clock. You should probably get a meal at that point, right? Because of the way that the food, the timing for the meals and so forth come into play. So
So
I
just
get
so you know,
where
the rates
Alderman
behind
Robinson
you
is coming about the timing. There should be some flexibility with that in my mind. And I know that we want to have that flexibility, but I think when we don't have it written in there, it makes it to where it's subjective for certain people, and it could potentially be, you know, used stricter by one superintendent or supervisor and not by another. So I think if you put a timeline on it, you could make it work.
Okay, so this is the rate up here. This is from the federal government. And we get these, you can get these every year. This is the update to the personnel policy by meal and total. So if I hear you correctly, Fred, that this needs to kind of stay on the committee of the whole. We need to review start arrival times that might determine if a meal is eligible or not.
Yeah, I might have some paperwork actually that
Was
kinda
it?
I think it was if some places leave at like 6 AM.
Yeah.
If you're traveling at by 6 AM, then you get a meal, but
Yeah, I thought it was farther down in this document, but there is another one here. It talks about when you depart.
let's see here.
Or it could be in a different document.
It's on a
Just-
different
It's just talking about 7 AM, travel before 7 AM.
Okay.
When we were talking about this during finance, and that's why it came up, is because this has been a hot issue for last 3 or 4 months with finance, with reimbursements. And again, I perfectly okay with going from $45 to $63 a day, and then with it broke down for the breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the way it should be. My only concern, which I had brought up, was the definition of the breakfast and then the lunch and the dinner, because anybody going to any class, you know, if class or seminar is starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, you are on the road prior to 7 AM, which is going to mean that you get breakfast included. I mean, most people know what you're doing that day. If for some reason you're leaving to do something early in the morning, you're gonna eat breakfast earlier, take it with, or get something on your way, but it would be on your own. I'd be concerned with the time as far as people starting. A lot of times, for example, the police department, you've got maybe 3, 4 different start times, 6 AM, 6 PM. So what time are you gonna be going for that? And then somebody working in the office, their hours might be 8 AM. Street department, you know, they start at, I believe, 7 o'clock in the morning. Office starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. So again, trying to make things simpler, and the way it was before was no breakfast unless there was an overnight stay. Pretty simple, pretty easy to follow along. I still think it should be that way. I understand with the dinner as far as the example, but I also believe that if somebody was traveling, and with your example of somebody flying, that travel day or that whatever, them coming back, they probably would already be doing the per diem for that travel. If you're not coming back and your flight's not getting in until whenever, you're already traveling that day. So again, I think at that point in time, with a situation like that, there could be a little bit of leeway. But I think if we leave it the way it is right now, what was added in there, because that was never in there before, I think we're opening up a can of worms, and pretty much everybody's gonna get breakfast before they're going to a class.
So I also think there's a couple pieces missing. There should have been no snacks, which is typical in this language here too that you read from the government. There's also no alcohol. There's usually a tipping restriction on that, and I do agree that we need to set parameters of when you leave determines what meal you're eligible for. And it should also have that if you attend a conference that the city has paid for a paid meal with part of that conference, the meal is your meal. If you decide to do something else, that's out of your own pocket.
Yeah, Mayor, I did find that on page 7 of the agenda. It does say in there about the time. Breakfast will be reimbursed whenever travel begins earlier than a normal breakfast and no meal is served at the seminar, conference, or other approved event.
Okay.
And again, normal breakfast, a lot of interpretation there.
Yeah.
Just like I said for dinner earlier during finance, I'll repeat it. Anybody that's got kids or in sports and everything, you might not be eating till 8 or 9 o'clock at night. You're retired, not much going on, you might be eating at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So what's normal for one's not gonna be normal for everyone.
Yeah, I would like to thank Jeff for putting this together in a short amount of time to get something moving with it, at least to show the employees that we care about them, you know, because I think it is important. So a few little tweaks and we'll have it rocking and rolling.
To be fair, Angie did a lot of the work on it as well, so.
Staff, everybody working
you go.
together as a team, so thank you.
Okay, so we'll polish it up and bring it back next meeting for you to vote on. And you can decide if you just want to waive first reading or consider that first reading. This technically is it, so. Okay. Bids for the Opera House gutter repair. Jeff?
Good evening. As everybody is likely aware, we have had some leaking on the west side, or excuse me, on the east side of the Opera House, up in the gutter. Excuse me, I got a few things open here. Let me find the right one. Okay, I don't have the right one. Think we
All right,
should
so let's
have-
start off with this was a public bid opening.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
We had a leak, I'm not even gonna talk about it now, sorry here. There we go. All right. We've had a leak for a couple months over there on the Opera House. That gutter is beginning to pull away from the building, and we've got some problems. So we engaged an architect to come in and help us put together actually specifications on how we can go about making this repair and have it be a long-term repair versus a temporary repair. A similar repair was done, or not similar, a similar problem was addressed a couple of years ago on the west side, and we're seeing some issues with that one already. So I think this is a point in time where we really do need to look at very seriously at doing this. There's two major parts to this project. Number one is all the reinforcement of the, what do we call these, the supports? Each of you have this document in front of you. There's an outrigger that's sistered to the existing supports there. So it's kind of the lighter board here would be new. And there's a lot of them up there and they would have to all be done. So that's basically to reinforce, I gotta get up here. It's to reinforce the gutters to make sure that they're supported. That all is work that has to be done inside the Opera House attic. It has to, somebody has to go up the ladder with all the materials. They have to crawl in and redo all of those. And I think that the difficult part of that is that that's like $80,000 of the $136,000 is to do that portion of it. It's a lot of custom handwork, but this is probably the best way to be able to reinforce it and make it last for a long period of time. The other portion of it is to actually go through with the gutters that are existing, reline them and make sure that they're done appropriately. It's adding a new metal cap and a new gutter pan and doing some things like that. So, I mean, it's really reconstructing these all together and making sure that those gutters are good to go. I'm saying probably 20 to 30 years. It could go longer, but I don't want to go out on a limb. The problem is that we didn't expect that gutter to leak this year, so we don't have anything specifically budgeted to make this repair this year. I think that the price that we got, while we only did receive one bid, is probably a pretty solid number. If you recall, when we talked about that all being copper and doing that, and I believe a big part of that job was the gutters, they were talking over $3 million. So if we can get that portion of it in a good solid space and get it taken care of going forward, then we can begin to address how do we handle the roof itself. The flat roofs are in pretty good shape. I think we can just coat those and we would be okay. The other part of this that needs to be figured out is the HVAC. Most of that is in the attic of the building, and the roof would probably need to come off to take it out. Our problem is that in one of the scenarios we were looking at, we wouldn't have to take the roof off. We might be able to go over it and do something different. If that's the case, we'd probably have to just abandon the unit that's up there and look at rooftop units or something like that. But we need to then be able to address it from a historical standpoint and make sure that we just don't have these goofy-looking air handlers on top of the Opera House. So there's certainly a number of steps here, and I think it would be premature to try to approve this tonight, just in that it's not in the budget. This is a repair we need to do. We need to do something with these gutters, but if we're going to have somebody come out and do this level of work, I think it's really appropriate to try and do all of it at once, so we really need to go back and look for dollars.
All right, questions?
I have some statements. So I pulled up the original estimate from the architect, and that was at $22,000, right? But that's only taking care of the east side of the building.
Right.
So that's only reinforcing the east side, doing the pan and everything there. So just the reinforcement, that's 80,800. You divide that by 2, that's 20,200. you add the 16,625, that brings that total for the east side to 36,825. We back out to 22,000, that means that it's only $14,825 more than originally estimated. And I thought that number was relatively low when it came out, but I didn't know where they were pulling the numbers from.
It was kind of out of the air, to be honest, that initial estimate, because it was primarily just looking at doing a repair to the gutter, not doing all the reinforcement inside.
Well, it did have the reinforcements in there. There was 8,000, 12,000, and 2,000 was, you know, so there's more actually being done on this one, and it's going around the entire building. One thing that we have historically had happen to us is we have put things off like this, and it's come back and bit us in the backside. Secondarily to this, if we go out and rebid it, now the bids are out on the streets, everybody knows what the price is. You go and rebid it, I guarantee that number's gonna go up. So it would be my idea here that we would take the one bid and we would run with it and get it fixed. In looking at what we have in the budget right now, the building maintenance line item has 100,000 in it, and then there's also some public works for building. The next item that we're gonna talk about leaves us 31,065, but then we also have work to be done on the other building with the siding. There are two other capital improvements here, a fuel tank removal at the old police department. That's in here, is that gonna happen this year? Do we
Well,
think that
we're waiting to hear on the grant dollars. 'Cause
Okay.
that's grant dollars.
But it was actually a funded amount in here.
Right, but it's also showed as income from.
Should have
the
been
grant.
revenue.
Okay, I wanted to make sure. And then the HVAC, I didn't know how much of that, because that doesn't have an individual line item in here, and that's what's going in here next. so,
Correct, correct. But that was also gonna be funded by that grant, so.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm just trying to find out where would we find the money? Is that truck coming this year, the dump truck? Have we heard anything there?
We have not heard anything on that truck. I mean, that's an option, I suppose, to cancel that order.
Well, I don't think necessarily cancel it, but there was the thought
still in
process that it
production,
might
right?
go into 27,
It could.
or say 26. 27 funds. So, I mean, I think we're just gonna have to find something. The Opera House, if we incur damage on that building again, the Opera House has been making those repairs. When COVID hit, they made all the repairs on the inside. I can't guarantee that they're gonna say they're gonna do it again. I would think that they're probably gonna say, hey, it's up to you, and that's not an insurance reimbursable at that point because it's a known issue, a compromise under the roof. So if it leaks and damages that wall again and that ceiling again, that's gonna be money out of our pocket that we really don't have.
Absolutely.
Okay, Adam, do you, I see you lean forward, do you have a comment?
Yeah, typical bid is good for 30 days, correct?
Correct.
So we have a little time to mull this over. We obviously need to get it done. We have too many buildings in town falling apart already, and we have a chance to get ahead of it on this one. So I agree with Fred, it needs to happen without a doubt, but finding the funds is the biggest thing.
Well, also depends how Main Street comes in.
It does. But what I would like from the council is I think I'd like to be able to talk to Fred as the budget chair and be able to, well, you know, see if we can brainstorm this a little bit and come back with a plan.
Okay, sound like an idea, we'll just leave it where it's at in the committee of the whole. We'll get a little more work done on it. Okay, and then let's go ahead and take D, discussion for bids of the exterior repairs for the street department garage. Or
Okay.
Alderman Chun, since that's your liaison, one of you two can handle that?
Well,
I-
Harnett started it 11 months ago.
It's
He
been
knows
taking
more
a
about it
while.
than me, I just was making sure it was getting done, that's all.
Yep.
So
All right, Jeff,
I
then.
This
just
one-
suppose we just take the bid and go with it and finally get it fixed.
That was competitively bid as well, so.
It was. We did receive 3 bids on that one. And Fred, you're right, with the number that you threw out, the base bid on that was $48,935. Because there are some other things for some of the tuck pointing joints that may need to be ground and tuck pointed, there's a per item price for that, time and materials on those. to replace the 4-inch CMU and then replace the modular brick. So depending on that, there are some other things that could come back on that. In speaking with the architect and everybody, we felt like we should ask for 55,000 as a not to exceed number. And then if we are going to exceed that, we'll come back and ask for more. But that way we've got a dollar amount we can work through, because some of these things we're not gonna know until they get in there and begin doing it, if they have to grind it deeper or whatever. So that's what we're looking for at this point, is 55,000 not to exceed on this project. There was 80 budgeted in this line item. And, you know, hopefully that's something we can take a look at as well.
Okay, does that sound like a plan?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
I know we had previously talked about getting a quote for spray patching the roof to try and keep the water out of the CMU. Are we going to try and go forward with that, or just do this repair and?
Well, from what I understand, it stopped leaking at this point in time, but I think that is a definite thing that we need to do, is look at trying to get that spray patched and sealed, because that's usually a 12-year warranty comes with that, and then it can be renewed for another 12 years, which then would keep that roof solid for 20-plus years and really help us. So whether that was something, I don't know that we're gonna have enough left over from this to do that, but it's something we should probably talk about for sure in next year's budget, is being able to do some of those. I think we should package it together. We should do the street department building. We should do both of the flat roofs here on the Opera House as well, to make sure that those remain good going forward.
Okay, so that'll be on the next agenda for a vote. All right, 12, new business, discussion on the lead line service replacement program. So I did get, as well as Jeff, some input from our engineering firm, EEI, and some communities that have already put together a particular program. I think there were 3 that we received. I recall 2 of them. So one was they paid for everything, but I believe that community got a grant that we don't qualify for, based upon our per capita. The other one was a split, and I don't remember what the split was, but they did have a split program. So I don't know affordability for that. I know that the process is not completed. We're still trying to wrap up the lead service line compliance report. But I do think it's time to have that conversation of, if we do one of these, what would it look like? So I will try to make sure we get those agreements to you. They just came in last week. And let you take a look at those, just start thinking about how they're structured and what the financial impact might be on the city. So you can get those and start thinking about what would be best for us.
I do have something to say about this one. That's where I talked about information. We have new members in the council, and as previous council, we'd already been over this. The costs we were given were short side, $7,000, which would be around $490,000 to the city. Long side, $11,000, which would be around $770,000 to the city. And it's in our ordinances currently that the city cannot pay for this. If the city does pay for it, residents have to reimburse the city for it. The reason this came up is we already ran into one line to where the city paid for it. So if you guys need any information, I'm happy to copy this for you, but it's very expensive, and I don't know how we look at the residents. We have 2,700 water bills in this town. You divide that $770,000 at most and $490 at the least, and it's asking for a lot of people to pay for a lot of things they don't own.
Yeah, so I mean, you could look at a loan program for our residents that maybe couldn't afford it, that they can pay that back over time on their water bill, or some other method. But at least we probably need to have that discussion, decide what we're gonna do as a community, and then that would be our procedure.
I got a question on it, though. 8 Main Street getting theirs redone?
It had, I think,
it's
7
already
lines
been-
identified, of which 6 were lead, but I believe we have to repair those because we're doing work on those lines. Which was the
Exactly.
case with the other line, from what I understand. These other ones would typically not follow that. I think there was 72 lines total that we identified. It doesn't start till next year. We have 10 years to remedy all the lead lines, or the homeowner has to provide a waiver. So they'll have that option as well. Okay. 50/50 sidewalk program. I think that was yours, Don. 50/50 sidewalk program, was that yours?
Nope. I actually
Okay,
brought it
well,
up.
you want to talk about
I
it?
brought it up at last council.
Okay.
I had had residents talk to me about 50/50 sidewalk because we have areas of town where people can't afford to help fix their sidewalk, and they would like a new sidewalk. And the reason I brought it up is, and I talked to Jeff about this, I'd like the city council to sit and think about it. Because if we have residents who are willing to take, 50% of the cost, there's definite cost savings to the city. I understand that mobilization, jumping around town and doing sidewalks and whatnot does cost a little more, but when you have residents that are willing to pay for 50% of their sidewalk just to get it done, I think it's something we should seriously sit and consider.
So my recollection is that we had a couple years historically that nobody used the 50/50 program, and the money just sat there in the budget. And I think the other part of that, Adam, is that when we looked at our ADA compliance, we started going away from the 50/50 program. We started doing street projects and sidewalk projects at the same time. Some of the economies of scale, also be able to complete a project in the entirety. So I think Lafayette's a good example of that as a street where we did the street and the sidewalks, and we stretched those dollars as far as we could. I believe that's why the city got away from the 50/50 program. I think a lot of it too is the ADA compliant, that we could actually show there was a project, and those points help us qualify for funding. I'm not saying it's good or bad. The city's done both, but that's why my recollection is the city moved away from that.
Well, what I talked to Jeff about was, if we keep a program open sign up until a couple months before budget time, you would have a basic idea of how many people would like to get into that program. And you would have a basic idea of going into budget, we have X amount of dollars for sidewalk. We have these people that like to get their sidewalk done as well. We could do cost savings, fix the city sidewalk, and keep residents happy.
So I get that part of it too. I guess my question though is does that leave some people out that can't afford to get into the 50/50 program, that through our road project, we would do the sidewalks as part of a road project? Or only certain people would qualify because they could afford to pay the 50%?
Well, I think we have residents that want to sit and get their sidewalk done and help the city do it. We should look into it.
But my question is those that can't, then they don't get their sidewalk done. That's the flip side of that, the way I see it.
Well, in essence, that is the entire reason or purpose of the 50/50 is the people that can afford to do it. We're going to eventually, but it's a long list and lots of sidewalks to fix, and they get prioritized and everything else. But if somebody is willing to do it, I've got no problem having a 50/50. It's not truly a 50/50 because the way it normally works is the city pays for the concrete. And the reason that they've always done that is because we can't pay for the labor, because then labor has to be prevailing wage and all this other stuff. So, if they're having, their Uncle Vinny or whoever it is that has poured concrete his whole life and et cetera, and they're the ones who are gonna do the sidewalk, then we're providing the concrete, but they're providing the labor. That's the way that the 50/50 has always worked in the past, because we have a set amount that we're doing for the concrete only. We don't have that variable of what it's gonna cost for the actual manpower to do it.
I know in my discussion with Nick, he had some reservations from the perspective of, with the ADA stuff, we do have to have it engineered to make sure that we have the proper slopes and things like that. So, I mean, Uncle Vinny might be good at it, but we gotta make sure we got the right people putting it in, and that they're consistent from place to place. And I don't know, if we did 3 sections out of 10 on a street, I mean, could we be considered negligent for stepping over those other ones, Cassandra?
I don't think that is a simple question
Well, it's never
to
simple.
answer. I think that you have your program that you have outlined. So I think it's something that we'd have to look at, that in the program that we've had outlined, if there is a way we can take from that list to see if there's individuals on the program or in the 50-50 program that would want to participate. I think that we just have to be, careful, because I do understand also what the mayor is saying is that we are potentially not giving the same ability to people that are of a lower income threshold. So, because what one person can afford $2,500, whereas another person can't. So, I think that we have to really decide how we want to apply it before we can give a good answer there.
I believe all of our funds, though, are committed for the current budget year, correct? For our
Yes.
projects?
Yes.
So we'd be looking at next year's budget, the council wanted to do something. So maybe ask around, see what that would look like for us. Traditionally, we allocate $160,000 of our gaming revenue toward sidewalks. That's what we've done since I've been mayor, so that's a number that you can have. You can divide that by 4 to get your allocation per ward and see how far that goes and how that might look versus a larger road project that we might do. And the next road projects after this year are East Pleasant and West Center. Okay?
Well, the other thing is, we have one location by Open Door on the east side. There's probably a 40-foot section that's gravel. And the residents that they serve walk around that area, and some are in wheelchairs. And we can't be having them push people in wheelchairs through gravel. So we have to approach this one as the first one, as far as I'm concerned, and get this one working on. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Do we know why it's gravel? Because they just did an asphalt project with us.
No,
years ago.
the concrete deteriorated.
Two
I
years
went
ago,
and
we
looked
did
at
a,
it.
2 years ago, we did a project with them. And they're looking at a potential to work with us
They
on
wanna
this
work
one.
with
So
us.
this would be a great place to potentially use the 50-50 program with a commercial entity.
Yeah, but not only do they want the concrete, they want more asphalt. And
So
the city's
that's-
not paying for
so-
the asphalt.
So that's where we need to
Like
get
what
our,
happened
get our
before.
engineering department involved and
Yeah.
let them do the talking
Yeah.
and set everything up.
Because when they
so-
sent that quote, Don,
Yes.
it was for asphalt too.
And that's what I was
And
handing it
that's-
over to,
no,
yeah.
We're not doing that. That's not the 50-50.
No.
Okay, so maybe we can have Jeff talk with Gene, their new director, and see if we can at least have some conversations and confirm what they're asking for and what it might cost, so at least you're aware of that. Okay, anything else on 50-50? Okay, announcements. Do you have any announcements, Jeff, or Denise, or Cassandra?
I do not.
Okay. Audience comments. Coltonado, you were up first because I got yours first. 5 minutes, you can come up.
We're pretty clear on everything beforehand. Is there anything else that we need to cover with the city members or anything else like that? Have any questions over the public comments? Other than that, I'm
Sir, 5 minutes, you're up. You want it or not? Okay. All right, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody actually have any? I know, I seen the rules actually get put out, so now that I understand the full public comment, does anybody on the board itself directly want to have any questions about the foundation, what our mission is, any specific things in the steps that we're in, or any clarification that you may need going forward if we go to a vote about this? Nothing at all? All right, just going into the 50-50 sidewalk, then I'm gonna completely switch gears. When it comes to it, I mean, there is a couple different ways that we could actually do it if you wanted to. You know, these are gonna be simple, easy numbers to follow here. But if you had $100,000, you split $50,000 to one side there that is allocated towards stuff that you're doing, $50,000 in the 50-50 program. And I do agree with the mayor and also the city attorney when it comes to it. You know, obviously, whenever it comes to people that can't afford these simple things in life. But I mean, it's the same thing as if I'm standing in my backyard and I look at my neighbor that has a pool and goes, man, I really wish I had that pool. I mean, some people can afford stuff, some people can't afford it. I mean, it's as simple as that. If you can, and you're putting your money into the city, I mean, you should get rewarded for the investment that you made into the city. The same way it is as if some people can and some people can't. I mean, it's very simple. There's a lot of things in life. I'm sure everybody up here is sitting there going, I wish I could afford this, and looking at their neighbor and they have it. It's that simple. And I mean, if there is any conversation to be had about that, I'm sure there's a legal standing that they could find out precedents of which way it would be that you can make that known to the public of how this is actionable, because obviously it makes perfect sense. If somebody invests into the city, they get a return on their investment a little bit, right? I mean, if it is, they put their money up, they put $2,500 up, the city puts the remainder up and whatever it is in concrete, and they get a nice new sidewalk. Some people will do it. I mean, I would if it was for the fact of I'm not moving here shortly and it looks like the sidewalks are pretty good. But as it is, and the same thing that it is through those ones, you start picking out specific areas, like Mr. Danko already pointed out in that area that, you know, they don't have sidewalks. I mean, there's a lot of them that are pretty sad on 6th Street, I believe it is. You go down, they don't have sidewalks walking all the way to the police department. Well, hopefully, you know, you didn't need that sidewalk going to the police department, but, you know, I didn't pick with a location of the police department. But as it is, that's the different ones that we got to look at. Thank you, sir, for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mike Mendoza?
Yeah, so I just wanted to come here and support. I was actually one of the members that brought up to Councilman Arnett about the 50/50 program. Just primarily because as a resident, I've had a piece of sidewalk that kids have fallen over on. I got evidence on my Ring camera. It was brought to the city 3 different times and it was ground down twice. That I did take upon myself to repair because of the endangerment and kind of what I could be neglecting the city, since it was addressed 3 different times and was called in last year as well about the lift. And in addressing it, even in the newer neighborhoods, some of the foundations where the gravel padding was not totally adequate, according to the concrete guys that I had, and including the inspector Ian. So we backfilled a little bit underneath the sidewalks to bring it up to what the city code expects, which it was not cheap. And those were, you know, from the 50/50, I would only be asking for like the 2 squares that I replaced that were endangering people walking along my sidewalk. My mother-in-law on 1208 Briarwood, we replaced 4 squares on hers because of the same thing in this newer neighborhood that was brought up with sidewalk that was poured, that broken down, and wasn't as bad as gravel, but it was not very safe because of the looseness on the top, and then also there was drops where it created trip hazard. But, you know, the program, you know, the fact that it lay dormant, and that's why it was, as you said, potentially, you know, put aside. I think if it was more aware and people know they were working with what the city can save from homeowners that can afford it, it can reappropriate to different areas to, like in front of the open door and other things, not just to fix commercial, because let's be honest, the biggest detriment in the older neighborhoods, older areas that have broken down sidewalks, that some neighbors that are willing to and can would probably help in if there's a 50/50 program, because I know I'm blessed in my life, and I did take care of 8 other squares in front of my house that needed to be repaired, that those are the things that I would do, including extending to my neighbor's yard. So I would highly recommend the city council to come up with a really hard thought about bringing this organization back. You know, I manage budgets all my life as long as I'm earmarking it for the next year. You know, you kind of know what you need to set aside and can be used, and allow people to apply for it ahead of time. And at least you'll get over a plan, a scope of what the city might have to actually replace versus what neighbors are willing to pick up and fix themselves. Because I think for even people that may or may not afford it, taking a half of a $2,000 bill might make them be able to afford it. And those are all things that should be considered when, you know, it's not a heavy policy. It was in place before. I know Naperville has one. I know Oswego has one. You know, and some of them are 60/40, some are 50/50, right? And even if it's just the concrete, hell, that's the most variant thing from year to year. And I'd say take that, because that's going to help the homeowner more if you're taking concrete, because from year to year, that thing can be more expensive than the actual labor itself. But, you know, 50/50 with invoice, preset above before they start it, you know, going into the year what it's going to be. I'm just saying to recommend, really think about it and talk about bringing that program back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Becky Delson?
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you for having me. While your ears are tuned to the 50-50 sidewalk conversation, I'd like to enlighten you that the R3 rated area, most underserved in the city of Sandwich, has the crappiest sidewalks and omission of sidewalks. Do the research. Let me start with 2 weeks ago, I stood up here and I shared the facts about the free EV charging stations. That being said, more data has emerged that warrants another comment of clarity here, so here I am tonight. I want to ask the council, and possibly the mayor, since he's quite rhetorical tonight, maybe he'll answer this question right off the bat. The contract that was signed by the mayor when you guys voted to become qualified or apply for the EV charging grant, I'd like to know the name of the organization that is titled on that contract. So there's a contract that it should say Switch or ComEd Switch. I'm just wondering if maybe the mayor wants to be rhetorical towards that question, where that contract is. Was it signed? And can somebody from the community get a copy of that? So that's my first question. I want to ask the council if you're aware that half of this town is qualified in an area that identifies as having a high rate of gun injuries, high rate of unemployment, high rate of poverty, and a commitment to and returns from the Illinois Department of Corrections. Is anyone aware of this rating? Yes or no? Show of hands if you'd like to play. Specific to these socioeconomic indicators, the purpose of this is to address root causes of violence, promote community, and the map encompasses west to the edge of the city limits, east, so the city limits meaning past the airport, okay? So all the way to the Forest Preserve. East to Sandy Bluff Road, south to South Main, where the corn crib is, where Swenson sells his corn. I happen to live in that area. And north to Railroad Street, encompassing your city hall. This is an underserved, again, let me bullet point this, and this is straight from the R3 funding eligibility status. This is an underserved area with a high rate of gun injury, high rate of unemployment, high rate of poverty, and a commitment to and returns from the Illinois Department of Corrections through a socioeconomic indicator. After a few phone calls to the R3 support team, very friendly people, service providers have been designated to our service area. So somebody went out and applied for this. Does anyone know about this? I mean, I really believe that this is something we need to expose and understand. The grantee can be anyone in or connected to the community. It doesn't have to be the mayor, it doesn't have to be an alderman, it doesn't have to be anybody representing the city. Any organization, anyone can apply for R3 rating of your community. The application creates a review of community's demographics based on police reports, hospital reports, and indicators of the census demographics. The zone for R3 program for the city of Sandwich is utilizing this zone as a qualifier to grift grants for EV charging stations. When we have underserved communities that don't have sidewalks, people, are you kidding me? I mean, each and every one of you people have very, very sharp minds. I've listened to meetings since I moved here and signed on the dotted line and became a member of Sandwich again. I ask that whether it's tonight or the next meeting, I am encouraging a revocation of any and all contracts for EV charging stations immediately. Pull the plug. It is not free. And, fun fact, Mayor cited Publication Act 103-0053, I believe he said, quote, by January of 2026, all homes have to be EV ready, right? And then public areas are gonna have to be EV ready. That's not quite true. You just have to have 220 so that if and when somebody buys an electric vehicle and Tara Ford or Tara Chevy, whatever they are now, Jovix, offers them to come and put an EV little Tesla box in their garage, it's ready. But you know what? That 220 can run a hot tub, a dryer. Folks, don't be duped. Please don't be duped by this. Last thing I want to say is, I listened to the back and forth between the mayor and this council, and, about a year ago, we brought up the point of strong mayor community, and we were told, no way, we're not a strong mayor community. But yet someone tried to get something on the agenda, and just because The mayor didn't get an email? He doesn't put it on?
Time's up. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that was convenient. Anyway, thank you, guys. Please do your research.
5
Have a blessed
minutes.
night.
This is what it is.
Publication was not fact. It was
All right, is there a motion to adjourn our committee of the whole meeting?
Yes.
Alderman Robinson, is there a second?
Yes.
Alderman Inman, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so we're adjourned from the committee of the whole. We'll take a quick break and come back for our